Each morning is an invitation to return to yourself, to breathe, to remember, and to begin again. In this video, we explored 5 powerful affirmations inspired by Buddhist wisdom that can reshape your mindset, cultivate inner peace, and awaken joy from within. The real transformation begins not in hearing these truths, but in living them. So tomorrow morning, before the world pulls you into its noise, whisper these words to your soul and feel their calm unfold through your day. Which of these 5 truths speaks most deeply to you? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if this message resonates, like, subscribe, and join us here at Dharma Pulse, where every heartbeat is a step toward awakening. 1. Live fully in the present moment. The past is gone, the future uncertain, and yet most of our suffering begins when the mind refuses to rest in the simplicity of now. Buddhism teaches that peace is not something we must chase, but something already present beneath the noise of our restless thoughts. When we dwell in regret, we are holding conversations with ghosts. When we worry about what has not yet come, we are negotiating with illusions. The only place life truly happens is this moment, raw, vivid, and fleeting. To live fully here is to awaken from the dream of control, to see that the present is not a fragment between yesterday and tomorrow, but the whole of existence unfolding right before our eyes. Mindfulness is the doorway through which we enter this truth. It does not ask us to escape reality, but to meet it with full attention. The breath becomes our anchor, the silent rhythm that reminds us that we are still here, that life continues to flow through us regardless of what our thoughts may say. As you bring your awareness back to this breath, this sound, this sensation, the storm of overthinking begins to calm. Thoughts still pass by, but you no longer chase them. Emotions still arise, but you no longer drown in them. You start to notice that beneath the surface chaos, there is a spacious stillness that has always been there. That stillness is your true self. When the mind stops fighting time, clarity arises. The present moment opens like a lotus in the morning sun, revealing the harmony that was hidden by resistance. From this space, you begin to trust life's natural order. Everything is transient, yet everything is complete. The Buddhist path calls this Dharma the unfolding of life according to its own sacred law. Overthinking fades because there is no longer a need to control outcomes or rewrite the past. You see that the universe is neither punishing nor rewarding you. It is simply mirroring your inner state. When your vibration aligns with peace, your reality reflects peace. To live in the present is an act of surrender, not weakness. It is the quiet courage to release what cannot be changed and to meet what is unfolding with open awareness. You begin to understand that peace does not come from fixing the world, but from harmonizing your inner world with the rhythm of existence. Each breath becomes a reminder that you are part of something vast and timeless. Each moment becomes sacred, not because it is perfect, but because it is real. Mindfulness is the art of seeing the infinite within the ordinary, of recognizing that the simple act of being here now is enlightenment itself. Comment below, I am fully present in this moment. If you're ready to let go of the past, stop overthinking, and truly live in the peace of now. 2. Thoughts are like clouds. Let them pass. Thoughts are like clouds constantly drifting, forming and dissolving across the vast sky of your mind. You cannot grasp them, nor can you stop them from appearing. They arise from memories, fears, and desires, each carrying a fragment of your past or a projection of your future. But when you begin to identify with them, you lose sight of the sky itself. You start believing you are the storm, forgetting that you are the open space that holds it. The essence of Buddhist wisdom teaches that thoughts are not enemies to be destroyed, but visitors to be observed. They are part of the natural flow of consciousness, and when you stop fighting them, their power fades. This is why the Buddha compared the mind to a lake when agitated. The water is murky, but when still, it reflects everything clearly. Through meditation, you learn to let each thought rise and fall like a wave, without clinging or resistance, and in doing so, you rediscover the stillness that was never lost. When you sit in silence and simply observe, you begin to notice how thoughts move on their own, without your command. They appear, stay for a moment, and then dissolve. They are not solid, they are not permanent, and they are certainly not you. Yet most people live as slaves to their thoughts, believing every story the mind tells. You think, I am anxious, I am not enough, I will fail, and suddenly, those words become your reality. But Buddhist wisdom reveals something deeper. You are not what you think. You are the awareness that witnesses thinking itself. This understanding is the doorway to freedom. Once you stop chasing every cloud, you realize that the sky never moved. The peace you've been seeking has always been there, underneath the noise. Meditation is the key to experiencing this truth, not as a concept, but as a living reality. It is not about emptying the mind or forcing silence. It is about becoming so aware that thoughts lose their grip. You sit, you breathe, and you watch. Anger may rise, let it pass. Fear may visit and let it drift. Sadness may cast a shadow and let it fade. You do not cling. You do not reject. You simply remain the witness. Slowly, you begin to sense a deeper calm, a quiet strength that exists beneath all motion. This is your true self, the clear sky behind every cloud. The more you rest in this awareness, the less you are disturbed by the changing weather of your mind. You start seeing thoughts for what they truly are, temporary patterns of energy passing through consciousness. Over time, this practice transforms how you experience life. You no longer need to fight your mind or escape it. You simply recognize that everything, even your most painful thoughts, is impermanent. Worry fades, anger softens, and overthinking loses its weight because you no longer feed it with fear. Through meditation, you train your mind to return home to that still point where nothing is missing. You understand that peace is not achieved by controlling what arises, but by allowing it all to flow freely. The art of letting thoughts pass is the art of living in harmony with yourself. When you master it, you are no longer tossed by the winds of emotion or the storms of memory. You stand firm in your own vastness, untouched by the chaos above. That is where real peace begins, not in the absence of thought, but in the wisdom to let every thought come and go without ever losing the sky within you. 3. Overthinking creates suffering. Let go of control. Overthinking is like standing in the middle of a storm, believing that if you just think harder, you can stop the thunder. But the more you try to control the weather of your mind, the more lightning you create inside it. Suffering, as the Buddha taught, doesn't come from what happens to us, but from how we respond. The moment you resist life, you begin to bleed from invisible wounds. You want things to go your way, people to behave as you expect, the future to unfold according to your plan. Yet life laughs softly at our illusions of control. It has its own rhythm, its own sacred flow, and when we try to dictate its direction, we lose the music entirely. The mind that constantly tries to control outcomes becomes like a bird trapped in a cage of its own design, fluttering wildly against the bars of fear and desire. The truth is simple, yet terrifying. Peace begins where control ends. When you finally release your grip, when you stop forcing what is not meant to be, something miraculous happens and energy starts to move freely again. You no longer block the current of life with your resistance. Instead, you float, you breathe, and you begin to feel the quiet pulse of spirituality moving through every moment. Healing is not about changing what happens around you. It's about changing how you relate to what happens within you. The Buddha said, "Let go or be dragged." And those words are not a warning, but an invitation to freedom. When you cling, you drown. When you release, you rise. Imagine your thoughts as waves on an endless ocean, some gentle, some violent, but none permanent. The ocean never tries to control its waves. It simply allows them to rise and fall. In the same way, your consciousness is vast and deep, while your thoughts are just ripples on the surface. The moment you realize this, the tension in your chest begins to dissolve. The energy of overthinking is heavy, dense, suffocating. It contracts the heart. But the energy of surrender expands. It opens a sacred space for life to flow again. Spirituality is not about escaping the world or controlling its chaos. It's about discovering the stillness that exists beneath it all. The silent awareness that watches the storm without fear. When you stop fighting reality, you begin to see its quiet intelligence. What if everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even the moments that seem unbearable? What if letting go is not losing, but aligning with something wiser than your limited mind could ever plan? The desire to control is born from fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of loss, fear of impermanence. Yet the truth is that everything changes, and that is what makes it beautiful. When you finally surrender, you are no longer a victim of circumstance, but a participant in creation. You trust the dance, not because you know every step, but because you know the rhythm is divine. So let the river flow. Let the universe move through you. You are not the one steering the current. You are the current itself. The peace you are searching for has never been lost. It's just hidden beneath layers of resistance and worry. When you stop trying to control life, you begin to experience it fully. You stop surviving and start living. You stop thinking and start being. And in that sacred stillness, you discover the most profound truth of all, that the moment you let go, life finally begins to hold you. Leave your like and subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss new insights like this. Remember, peace begins when you stop trying to control everything. Comment below. I surrender and let life flow. 4. Practice mindfulness through the breath. Mindfulness is the quiet art of returning home to yourself. In Buddhism, it is not a technique, but a way of seeing, a way of living. When you bring your awareness to the breath, you are no longer lost in the maze of your thoughts. You are here now, breathing with the rhythm of existence itself. Every inhale becomes a silent prayer. Every exhale, a release of what no longer serves you. The mind, once scattered, begins to settle like dust falling in still water. The Buddha taught that awareness of breath is the foundation of mindfulness, because the breath is the bridge between body and mind, between the seen and the unseen. When your breath deepens, your energy vibration rises, and the chaos of the mind softens into clarity. Overthinking is a form of resistance, a refusal to trust the flow of life. The more you try to control your thoughts, the louder they become. But the breath teaches surrender. You do not command it to enter or leave. It simply flows. Likewise, peace comes not from forcing silence, but from observing the storm without judgment. As Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Feelings come and go, like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. In every moment of conscious breathing, you reclaim your inner power from the noise of the world. You begin to see that peace is not the absence of thought, but the gentle awareness that holds thought without being consumed by it. When the mind and breath move in harmony, you awaken a new frequency of being one that vibrates with balance and presence. This is mindfulness in motion, the ability to walk, speak, and act with awareness rather than reaction. You stop living as a prisoner of memories and expectations, and instead live as an observer of life's unfolding. Buddhism teaches that liberation begins when we stop identifying with the mind's endless commentary. Through the breath, you step beyond the mind's illusions and into direct experience. The present moment, once ignored, now becomes sacred. In this awareness, you realize that you are not the chaos within you, but the space that holds it. You are the silence beneath the noise, the observer beyond the emotion. The mind is like a wild horse, restless, unpredictable, but the breath is the gentle hand that tames it. Each inhalation grounds you. Each exhalation frees you. Slowly, the patterns of fear, regret, and anxiety lose their grip. Overthinking no longer defines you because you no longer believe every thought that arises. You simply witness, and in witnessing, you transcend. The miracle of mindfulness through the breath is that it transforms the ordinary into the divine. Washing dishes becomes meditation. Walking becomes prayer. Breathing becomes awakening. You no longer chase peace. You breathe it. You no longer seek calm. You are it. This is the essence of Buddhist mindfulness, to live so consciously that even a single breath contains the wisdom of the universe. When the breath is calm, the mind is calm. And when the mind is calm, you finally remember the truth. Peace was never lost, only forgotten beneath the noise. If this message resonates with you, take a deep breath right now and feel the air entering and leaving your body. This is the present moment revealing itself to you. Comment below. I am breathing peace into my life. If you're ready to let mindfulness guide you toward true inner calm. 5. Simplicity is freedom. Happiness isn't something you chase down in the distance. It unfolds naturally when your heart becomes simple. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that the more we add to our lives, the more we lose sight of what's real. Every attachment, every obsession, every layer of unnecessary worry becomes like fog around the mind. We think we need more to feel secure, but the truth is, peace comes when we begin to need less. Simplicity is not poverty. It is a quiet abundance. When the mind stops chasing after what it lacks, it finally sees that it already has everything. In meditation, you begin to feel this truth. You notice how your thoughts keep reaching outward, grasping for control. But when you simply breathe and watch them pass, something opens a space of stillness, vast and untouchable. That is where peace lives. In a world that worships complexity, simplicity becomes an act of courage. Society teaches you that the busier you are, the more valuable you must be. But all that noise only drowns the whisper of your soul. The more you try to manage, the more you lose your center. Have you ever noticed that the moments when you feel most alive are never the ones cluttered with plans or possessions? They are the quiet moments, the sound of rain, the taste of tea, the warmth of sunlight. Simplicity is not about escaping life. It is about entering it fully, without distraction. When you practice letting go, you realize how light the soul can become. Every expectation you release is a door opening to freedom. Every worry you drop reveals another layer of peace. The Buddha said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." And this is what simplicity truly means. Not running away from life, but no longer being controlled by it. Meditation trains you to see clearly, to sit with what is, without judgment, without reaction. It turns chaos into clarity. The mind loves to complicate things because it fears losing control. But life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be experienced. The tree doesn't strive to grow. It just grows. The river doesn't force itself to flow. It simply follows its course. In the same way, your peace doesn't come from achieving more, but from allowing yourself to be. Through simplicity, you reclaim your natural rhythm with the universe. You stop fighting against what is and begin to flow with it. Simplicity, then, is not emptiness. It is spaciousness. It is the room in your heart where joy can breathe again. When you let go of what is unnecessary, you do not lose anything of value. You make space for what is eternal. In that stillness, you understand that happiness is not something to find, but something to remember. And in remembering, you finally return to yourself. 6. Trust in impermanence. Everything in life moves like water fluid, unpredictable, yet always purposeful. To trust in impermanence is to awaken to the spiritual truth that everything, including your worries, is destined to change. Overthinking is born from the illusion that pain is permanent, that the way things are now will last forever. But as the Buddha taught, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. You suffer because you cling to people, to memories, to ideas of how life should unfold. You resist the flow of time, trying to freeze moments that were only meant to be passing waves. But life is not meant to be held. It is meant to be experienced. When you stop grasping, when you let go of your need to control, you begin to move with the current rather than against it. In spirituality, impermanence is not a curse. It is liberation. Everything that falls away makes space for something new to be born. Flowers bloom and wither, yet the soil never complains. It knows that decay feeds renewal. The same law governs your own healing. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every moment of confusion carries within it the seed of awakening. Energy does not die. It only transforms. The sadness you feel today becomes the compassion you share tomorrow. The silence that follows loss becomes the space where wisdom takes root. When you trust this transformation, you no longer fear change and you welcome it. Your thoughts, too, obey the same law. They rise and fall like waves on the surface of an infinite ocean. Some crash violently, others barely ripple. But beneath them lies the still depth of awareness of your true self, untouched by turbulence. Overthinking happens when you mistake the waves for the ocean, when you forget that you are the consciousness beneath the movement. Once you remember your vastness, every anxious thought becomes lighter, every problem smaller, every fear less real. You realize that impermanence is not something to fight, but to flow with. Think of the moments in your past when you believed you would never recover, when the world seemed to end. Yet here you are breathing, evolving, still capable of love. The pain that once consumed you has softened into strength. That is the power of impermanence. What you once feared to lose was never meant to stay. It came to teach you, to awaken you, to refine your energy. Nothing in this universe remains the same. Not the stars, not your body, not your emotions. The only constant is the flow itself. And within that flow lies peace, if only you stop resisting it. Overthinking is the mind's desperate attempt to anchor itself in what cannot be held. But when you trust impermanence, you dissolve that need for control. You stop demanding certainty from a world built on change. You understand that the present moment is the only place where truth lives, where energy is alive, where healing begins. To trust impermanence is to let life breathe through you without fear, to let everything come and go with grace, to find stillness not in holding on, but in allowing. When you surrender to this rhythm, you no longer chase peace, you become it. Do you trust the flow of life and the wisdom of impermanence? Comment below with faith. I trust the flow of change, and I am at peace with impermanence. As we reach the end of today's reflection, remember that the heart of these 6 Buddhist teachings lies in learning to quiet the storm within. Letting go of the past, trusting the present moment, and observing your thoughts without attachment are not just spiritual ideals, they are practical tools for peace. When you begin to apply them daily, you'll notice how your mind softens, your heart opens, and life flows with greater harmony. Which of these teachings spoke most deeply to you today? Share your reflections in the comments below. And if you found peace in these words, don't forget to like, subscribe, and continue walking this mindful path with Dharma Pulse.